BJ's Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guests here, Molly and Shawn from Flatout Games, and there's 2 games we're going to be talking about tonight. The chat crew will just kill me if I don't get to these games, and I want to talk about them, especially the first one, because I got to play this one recently with my buddy Jay Bell. Shawn, I think you set it up for us, if I remember right. And we're talking about Cascadia from Randy Flynn, an absolutely gorgeous game. But I want to hear from y'all. Give us the elevator pitch. Sell the chat crew. What's Cascadia all about?
Oh, you're pointing at me.
I actually did it the right direction. Can you imagine?
It totally worked. Cascadia is a game that is very simple to learn, and like everything we try to do, simple to learn, a good challenge to master. It is a double layer puzzle. So you are going to be drafting pairs of tiles together. One tile is a habitat tile, so something that's the land, river, forest, mountains, and a corresponding animal tile. So some wildlife, and those are going to be salmon, an elk, and a fox, and a bear. And then you are trying to build out, you get to build out this is the thing I love, like building out your own little map, your own little territory, and scoring points for continuous areas of the habitat, so continuous connection of the tiles of particular habitats, and then different scoring conditions on the animal cards. So there are a couple of combinations of cards you can play with, or like different cards for each animal. And so it adds variability to the play. And then you're going to get, clusters of elk together, or straight lines of elk, or pairs of bears together. And at the end of the game, you play like 20 pairs out, and you're going to get a final score, and you want the highest final score.
All right. So we got a couple of questions before we get more to the meat of the game. Thomas says, how did you get the very busy Beth Sobel?
Cascadia, because we all live in Cascadia. I think it was an easy sell for Beth, who had also done Calico.
Yes.
And so this is yet another Beth Sobel illustrated game. And I'm just going to guess that doing something that's in the land that she lives in is extra fun.
Yeah, we had a blast working with her on Calico, and just she's really remarkable, and she's just one of the nicest people we know too. And so we met her prior to working with her, just being local to Washington area, and so we really are fortunate to know Beth and to have her, work on these games and add her impression to them and her thoughts. And it's really great to see what she comes up with every time. I think the most exciting thing in making games at all is the day when you see that there's a new email from Beth Sobel, when it's new art, and it's just me copying and pasting it into our Slack and being new art is here, everybody.
She is one of the few artists. There is only a handful, maybe even less than that. She's one of the few artists where people will actually go to a Kickstarter page not because of the game, because they heard she was doing the art, and that's pretty impressive. I mean, the Gumbo crew. I'm looking for Verla to nod her head on this one, but the Gumbo chat crew, they talk about Beth anytime there's a game that she's done. They're all over it. They love her art, and going back to everything she's done for many, many years. So kudos for getting Beth on there. Someday I'll get her on the show. That'd be kind of fun. But I would love to do that. But Patrick says the art is so realistic. You can smell the tree, and it's true. It's a painting or a photograph. If you look at it really quick, you have to kind of do a double take at it. It's almost photorealistic. But it's not. It still looks like art, and that is just, I don't know how she does it. Look, Beth Sobel, instant back for Beth Sobel art.
There's also you have to take a close look at the cover, because there's little Easter eggs in there and stuff. Just because it's such a detailed little painting, you can see more details if you look down by the water and stuff. So it's really exciting. It's almost like the size of the box doesn't do that amazing painting justice in terms of the scale and that sort of thing. But we're super, super excited. And the tile art is amazing. It's the fun part about Cascadia really is like building out an ecosystem, right? And everybody loves constructing those sorts of things. And when her art sorts of comes together, and the way that she dealt with how like the rivers flow into each other when you put a bunch of river tiles together, like it's just really exciting. And so, yeah, it's really good. Not to mention the card art has all of the different wildlife paintings by Beth, and those are phenomenal as well.
I haven't seen him say anything, chat crew. Maybe you can get him to say something, but it looks like Ninja and Dawson are saying Randy is actually in the chat crew. So, hey,
Randy.
Fantastic design. So we've talked a lot about the art, but now that Randy's here, we might as well talk about the design itself. Jay's on vacation. Sorry, because Jay would be all over this chat crew talking about how much fun he had. Jay and I had a blast. Sean did I think it was a 2-player. Was it just me and Jay whenever you taught it?
I think it was 3. Had somebody else joined. I can't remember.
My nephew. Yeah, my nephew was in on it. It was Zach or Jared. And what I absolutely loved is that, okay, there's some abstractness to it. But when you have an abstract that plays thematically, I'm all in. And the salmon and the fox and the bear, they played the way that you would think they would play, the cards themselves. So tell the chat crew a little bit about how that card play affects each and every game. And it affects it differently. At the end, Sean, you were throwing out more cards, and we're like, oh, wow, this game will be different every time.
Yeah, what's kind of the origin story now that Randy's with us is that Randy came to us, I guess it was just over a year ago. Sort of like pre-Gen Con over a year ago. And he said, I have a game and it's inspired by Calico and Tiny Towns a bit. And I was like, ooh, those are games I like. So tell me a little bit more about this. And so the idea that the thing that is sort of similar to Tiny Towns is that the cards are variable. So every time you play, you're going to have different spatial goals that you're trying to accomplish. So the way that works is that, you'll have a fox in one particular game. Here's a good example where we have the cards. These are some of the kind of basic ones. And they all score it a slightly different way. So this particular fox just wants to be surrounded by other different types of animals. And the hawk wants to be, in a place where it can see another hawk, and each pair that can see each other are worth 3 victory points and that sort of thing. And the salmon always want to be in different runs, which means they have to touch 2 other pieces. Oh, hey, Beth. Beth's on.
We were just talking about Beth. Isn't that weird? Hello, Beth. Thanks for checking in. We appreciate you.
So this is all variable. So the spatial goals that you're going to have every time, there's over 100 different combinations of cards that you can play with. So what we're doing is there's a family mode that simplifies it all down so that all of the animals score in a similar way. You're just trying to create groups of them. So it's really good for if you have younger kids or if you want to just start to get into the game, but don't want to have to deal with kind of that much information overload. We would obviously recommend, we have a starting recommended set of 5 cards to start with that are kind of the most straightforward, but incrementally building up a game so that it works with different game groups. As it goes back to that thing we talked about at the start of the show, where just thinking about how do you make this work for a broader audience, but then also still be really great for gamers and your game group and that sort of thing. And we think that games that are kind of modular in that way, that can be kind of expanded upon, are really, really great. And Randy has been doing an amazing job working. Randy's kind of been on board through this whole process as a developer, thinking about all these things and pushing the game forward. So one of the cool things about the collab is that we get to work with the designer and they get to kind of enter into the whole team, and we're all just working together collaboratively, and we're all excited about pushing it forward in different ways. So yeah.
Molly, what jumps out? The art, the mechanics? What's the first thing that hits you when you see this game?
Well, I played it as a prototype, so it was totally the mechanics and the puzzle for me. So I think it's probably the puzzle, but I feel like what Beth has done with the art is it just pulls you in to the place in a way. And then I'm enjoying visually how the game is looking as much as I'm liking the puzzle that I'm completing.
How close to what we're seeing in some of these pictures is it going to be to that final product? Because I can tell you, even on, Jay and I were telling Sean while we're playing on TTS, it just visually stunning. I mean, it really pops on the table, and I can't wait to see it in person.
That's pretty close. Sean, I'm going to ask you, are there lines around on those hexes or not?
Yeah, we used to have a border on the hexes, and we ditched that. So, but I think in this
people begrudgingly ditched that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a longer story, but that's kind of one of the things about like working as a team, kind of art directing it with all hands on deck. Like that's the thing, is that it's been fun because Randy's been totally involved in every step of the process. Right, we have just like an open Slack, and we're always, just today we were debating things about the nature tokens and just figuring out all the little like details and stuff like that. So this is pretty close to what it's going to look like. We've got some card backs that are going to be a little different, and but this is kind of it. Just simple, punchy, really colorful, and just beautiful on the table. It's got to be. We always want our games to be the kind of games where if you walk by at a convention, like you want to walk over and just take a look at what's going on the table.
Yeah, Mick talks about how the art took them back to the Pacific Northwest and it just given them that flavor. How important was not only the mechanics have to be strong, but how important was the artwork to kind of give that homage to the Pacific Northwest and the Cascadia Mountains and that area?
It was really important. One of the things that when Randy first started designing the games, it was just, the game was kind of like generic animals and stuff. And one of the things, kind of going back to like talking about theme and all that sort of thing, like one of the first kind of conversations we had was that like, this is what Flatout Games tends to do really early on, even with our own designs and stuff now, is like, what is this product going to look like on the shelf, and what direction can we take it? And we just were thinking about, this is an opportunity to like do it about kind of wild nature, and we were like, well, is there a particular region that would lend itself to this? And it just, I don't know, I remember exactly how the conversation went, but we kind of landed on like, well, yeah, Cascadia, that makes so much sense. Like this bioregion is so diverse, and it has a bunch of different types of environments and stuff in it. And we were like, well, that should be hopefully an easy sell for Beth, because she's from Cascadia, and she's doing this amazing deck of cards right now that she's illustrating, and it's got like mountains and streams and forests.
Ooh.
And like that kind of imagery is just, if you follow Beth on Twitter, you'll see little teasers of that, and it's just breathtaking stuff. And we're just like so lucky to have a piece of that kind of art. Like we were inspired by that and said, like, Cascadia, obviously we want it to feel similar to what those feel like. So yeah.
So Cascadia is not
those
out yet.
have just the slightly more like magical. They seem a little bit, they're like deeper hues and just that little bit more mysterious and like magical. So they I would say that she's really done a very different look. Like it's the same texture and quality of animals, but yeah, it's just a testament to her abilities to say like these set of cards are very distinct from the look and feel of Cascadia, using like the same bioregion, which is awesome.
I like the tagline for the Kickstarter page: a puzzly tiling game of habitats and wildlife. That tells me everything I need to know, judging from my play. But the chat crew needs to know what's the plans for it. It's coming out on Kickstarter pretty soon.
Yeah. We hope to go live with that Kickstarter, in a month or so.
Okay.
Yeah. We just shot the video, and that's got a couple of little pieces to do for the video. And, we got all the behind the scenes. The page is pretty much ready. Out at reviewers right now. That's great. As we said, Sarah Shaw just sent us her 1-minute video a couple of days ago. And yeah, it's been an interesting year because we didn't have the same lead up. We played a lot of games of Cascadia at Gen Con Online, but we didn't have the same kind of rollout in that way. It's been kind of an interesting year. Obviously, it's been one of the interesting year of the century. But we'll see. We'll see where we land. We're lining up the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks of our lives. So in and around the Kickstarter.
One of the interesting things I saw exactly. One of the interesting things I saw in the Calico Kickstarter was that if you backed at a certain level, you could actually have Beth draw a picture of your cat and put it in the game. Isn't that right? So I'm assuming if I have a pet salmon, I can do the same thing in Cascadia. Is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, there's only a few slots for each one though, and I've heard a lot of elk owners that are like already breaking down the door. So get on it quick. Those
elk owners, man, you can always count them to break down the doors.
Don't worry, Beth. There will be no custom elk.
Dean wants to know: could an 8-year-old play this? Dean, I'm pretty sure that Sean's going to answer that. He set up the game for some 8-year-olds. Me, Jay, and my nephew. We were. I'm assuming you put us on the beginner to make us feel better. Is that right?
I would say even in its most, it's an 8 and up game. You may want to start out in a family mode, but I think, I'm trying to remember what it was like to be 8.
Mick says it's a family game.
It's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we put 14 plus on our games because of various legal things.
I'm a lawyer. I know exactly what you're
But unfortunately, that's kind of unfortunate because even Points Salad, I think, says 14 plus, which we're demoing it to 3 and 4 year olds at Gen Con. So
you saw Nick mentioned his 7-year-old daughter beats him all the time in Point Salad. So Jeremy,
plus Ninja plays it too. So
that's true. Ninja could play. Ninja says, please stop making great games. You're breaking his wallet. You're absolutely breaking his wallet.
That's a good point because we're trying really hard not to break people's wallets. I think that's something that we feel pretty strongly about, is that we feel we can make a great $40 game, and we feel like we can put it on Kickstarter for $29 and still be able to make a go of it. And we have the luxury of being very privileged to be able to do this as a hobby and to get games out there into the world. And part of our passion is just helping our friends put games out there. But we want to deliver like a really great game that you don't have to feel like you have this FOMO to spend $129 on, all these things adding up to it, blinging it out. I mean, it's just, and the long game for us is we want a game that's going to do really well in retail. We think Calico as a $40 retail game is great. And we think our backers that got it for $29, that's great for them. And we're super grateful for everyone who supports us. And we obviously can't do it without the backers. So that's really, really important to us. The sort of like value that we're giving to our backers is hugely important. So we try really hard to make sure we can get it all in there and make the price really reasonable.
The Name Father wants to know, can you get Calico as an add-on if you back Cascadia? Or is there going to be something like that in this campaign?
That's a good question. We still have to figure out where stock levels will be and stuff like that. So we're not 100% on that yet, but we're going to try and make something work where folks can do something like that if we can.
Jordan, listen to his podcast if you haven't checked it out. It says 29 looks like a steal for this game. No Cube Zone says 29. It looking good. Alex says when he was at Great Fox Games, they had a 14 up on creatures and cupcakes. Such a strange requirement. Beth, I don't think that as your attorneys, I'm going to advise that you should not put a live hawk in Beth's game box. So, but she'll give you an extra $30.
Be careful what you wish for, Beth. I mean, you're close enough. We could probably pull that off somehow.
Right, that would be a good surprise. So, what do they get for the $29? They back Cascadia. What's going to come in the box? Everything you see here, right?
Yeah. So
that's.
Yeah, there's 100 like deluxe wooden wildlife tokens that are going to be painted and screen printed and stuff like that, and then all of the cardboard. We're hoping that with enough stretch goals, we can really one of the things that we're hearing from Calico backers is like, wow, the production in this is awesome, but it wouldn't have been able to be awesome without all the backers getting those stretch goals to get thicker tiles and all that kind of stuff. So we're hopeful that we've got some things up our sleeve that if we get enough funding, we can keep adding to the quality. And we're usually fans of just upping the quality of the game components with a lot of the stretch goals. So keeping it simple. There's not a lot of gimmicks mechanics to it. It's just like, let's make this thing the best possible game it can be. But yeah, you get like around 100 tiles and 100 tokens and score pad and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to feel a similar amount of stuff to like Calico. There's a canvas bag and all that kind of stuff. So it's very much in that similar range.
So Sean, give us the deets. So we're looking at give us the play count, the play time, and approximately when the Kickstarter is for Cascadia, coming out from Flatout Games on Kickstarter soon.
Sure. So Cascadia plays 1 to 4 players. It plays in about 30 to 45 minutes, and it's going to be available on Kickstarter sometime in September, likely in about a month to 6 weeks from now. It's a lot of it's hinging on Calico delivery and all that kind of stuff. We're just wanting to get our backers the first game and just getting all our things lined up for Cascadia. But it's coming soon. And you can head to cascadiaboardgame.com, and that'll redirect you right to the Kickstarter pre-launch page. So if you're interested in it, head on over there and click the notify me, and then you'll get notified right when we launch. One of the things that is kind of exciting about this campaign is that we will have founders editions of these. So all of the handmade prototypes that the reviewers have that Mick and Starla just played, those are going to be available for backers to back. We haven't nailed down the exact price for those, but you'll also get your name in the rule book and get a signed copy, and you get it right away. So if you're really excited about playing Cascadia, we know Kelly was one of our founders from the Calico campaign, and she's kind of like the ambassador for Calico. And so it's really fun. It's a fun like kind of fan service thing that we do that like gets early adopters really excited about it. And we just kind of figured we have these prototypes around, like why not make it this fun thing for the community to be able to like have that early copy.
That is an awesome idea. And that is Cascadia coming out. Look for it around September. It's going to be out on Kickstarter. It's a puzzly tiling game of habitats and wildlife. I got to play it. If you check out the blog, you should see some notes whenever we played it.